shooter, mid-range jump shooter, 90% free throw shooter, team leader, big game, big play maker, steal the ball on defense like crazy, roam and steal. So to me, again, if I had to have somebody on my team, if I wanted to build around, I'm going to build around Larry Bird slightly before I'm going to build around LeBron James. That's just me. And I'm not changing from 2017. I still have LeBron ninth on my list.
Well, both of y'all listen. You and Charles list are trash, but that's y'all listen, so y'all keep them in your back pocket like an old bill. Skip, the thing is about Larry had more rebounds because he normally guarded guys that were in the post. LeBron to spend as much time as he does on the perimeter and average 7 rebounds a game, that's a huge undertaking. Because you remember, Skip, they put Larry on the worst offensive player because they needed to save him. It wasn't like he was going out there holding, guarding Jordan, guarding Dominique and all those the top scorers. They needed those legs. They needed him to be able to score. So he normally played the worst offense. He would, sometimes guard Tree Rollins or the least likely to punish them scoring the basketball. So he was around the rim. That's why he was a 24, 10, and 6 guy. Skip, I believe he might be the second greatest passing forward behind LeBron James. 6 assists would tell you he could pass the basketball, Skip. Like I said, Skip, when you look at him, he couldn't leap out the gym, and, he had a few passes where he behind the back, but he was slow. But Skip, they need to do a documentary on him, just him, and let him see how he was lighting people up back in the 80s, when he came into the NBA. But Skip, for me, I think with LeBron's body of work, with that resume, the 3 Finals MVPs, the 4 regular season MVPs, the longevity. Now, Skip, I will say this. If LeBron James played in the 80s and the 90s, would he have gone maybe 15 straight years with no injuries? Probably not. Probably not. Because all that yanking and tugging and snatching you out the sky, sooner or later that takes its toll on you. Skip, you remember the Pistons, yeah, they were nasty. They adopted the moniker from the Raiders. Skip, you remember when the Raiders had Lyle Alzado and Matuzak and Otis Sistrunk and all those guys? They were nasty. They would clothesline you. They'd rip your helmet up, do all that crazy stuff. And so the bad boy Pistons adopted that moniker. But also, Karl Malone says, I'm going to stop this. When he put that elbow upside Isaiah's head and opened up a 44-stitch gash, that slowed Isaiah down a little bit. Because, like you said, Isaiah, to be 6'1", $175, Isaiah was as nasty as they come. And that's why people hold Isaiah accountable for the walk-off, Skip. Because they say, Isaiah, you try to play this little shy bad boy, that little shy image, like, yeah, he speaks softly. Isaiah, you don't fool anybody for 1 second. Everybody knew it was Isaiah, Skip, and that's why they hold him accountable.
True. So I got to backtrack. It sounded like you were suddenly making the case that your childhood hero, Larry Bird, is better than LeBron.
No, you got your mouth up. Skip Bayless. LeBron James is the GOAT. Do you understand that? Big G, big O, big A, big T. G period, O period, A period, T. That's what LeBron is, big GOAT. Now, ain't nobody in front of him. Now, stop asking me that. I be at somebody broke in the house. Skip, I ain't gonna tell you the true story. Somebody broke in the house, put a gun in my hand and said, tell me, who the GOAT? LeBron James. If you say LeBron James one more time, I'm going to pull this trigger. It's GOAT James. I ain't afraid to die. I'm going to tell the truth because a man know I'm telling the truth. I go meet my maker, but I'm going to tell the truth.
Hey, you know and I know, at that moment of truth, gun to head, you'd say, Michael Jordan? GOAT James, Skip Bayless. You know it. You going to talk about this man, Jordan,
night, Skip.
You'd say it, you know it, and I know it.
Nope.
That took a different turn than I was expecting. Good to know. I know we will revisit that debate another time. Moving on, will Dak and the Cowboys be able to win games behind a high-scoring offense? More on Undisputed next. Barkley said he loves everything about LeBron, but the King wouldn't have wanted anything to do with tougher teams in the past, like the bad boy Pistons. So, Shannon, does he really believe LeBron is number 7, or do you think this is more about bad blood?
I think it's a combination of both, Skip. I believe two things can be true because Charles Barkley has repeatedly said there's nothing LeBron James can do to ever crack his top 5. So with that line of thinking, what else am I supposed to choose? So if LeBron James wins 2 more titles, win another MVP, he still can't crack the top 5? Skip, look, and I know what Charles is talking about, Skip. I believe the decade and the era in which I played was the best. It was the toughest. And although I'm not willing to say that receivers and tight ends couldn't play in that era, I'm saying that some of the things that we see them do would be hazardous to their health. You see, the greatest skill for survival is adaptability. So am I to assume that Charles Barkley, being an undersized power forward, couldn't play in today's NBA because he can't shoot threes? That would be an awful way of thinking. He would just adapt his game. Like other great players, they're willing and able to adapt. Skip, what difference does it make? Why all the bad boy Pistons? The bad boy Pistons did not win the title every single year. What is that? Now, ever since the last dance, now we're making the bad boy Pistons, Skip, to be the 60 Celtics. You notice that, Skip? Now everything is measured through the bad boy Pistons. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Skip, they were a great team, yes, but everybody really played that style of basketball. Skip, the Knicks played that style of basketball. The Miami Heat played that style of basketball. Indiana with the Davis boys and Rick Smith played that style of basketball. Skip, that was the East played football and the West played football like ballet on grass. They were moving the ball. It was up and down. And in the East, where in the West, Skip, you have a game 132 to 138. In the East, it was 85-82. That's what you were getting, Skip. Everybody played that brand of football. The Celtics, even with the great Larry Bird, they were a big physical basketball team, and they played that style. So that wasn't unique to the bad boy Pistons. Now, they took it over the edge, but what Commissioner Stern figured out, people don't really like that brand of basketball. People really like to see points. They want to see up and down. Skip, look at what the ratings did when they took the rules out, where you get the defenseless player and the clutching and the grabbing in the NFL, and you see more points. Ta-da! Ratings took off when they opened the game up and you had no more hand checking, and all of a sudden the games are starting to creep back like they were in the 80s, Skip, when the West was up and down. Ta-da! Skip, nobody liked that brand of basketball. That wasn't basketball, that was football. If you want to watch football, watch it in the fall. But if you want to see basketball, you want to see these athletes be able to move and flow freely, not tackling and clotheslining guys out the sky. But I do not believe, Skip, LeBron James is the 7th best player. Now, I'm not here, look, people criticize me, say LeBron is the GOAT. That's where I stand on that. But I've said that, and I told you, I came on your show, Skip, in 2014. I said, if LeBron wins this title, oh, he GOAT. That was 2014. If he 2016, when they came back from 3-1. I told you I was going to the parade. Asked you, did you want to go? You say you ain't want to go with your boy. But anyway, Skip, this notion that a great player couldn't play in certain eras, Skip, yes, they could. They would adapt. Just like Michael Jordan adapted to how he was going to deal with the bad boy Pistons. He says, this little slender frame ain't going to cut it. I need to put on about 10, 15 pounds, and I need to meet fire with fire. And that's what they were able to do. So there's no question in my mind, at 6'9", 260 today, in today's game, man, LeBron, so imagine, Skip, they weren't calling charges like they do now. Man, LeBron James just bulldozed his way. Of course he could have played. And I disagree with LeBron being 7th, but that's Charles' list. That's not mine.
And from Charles, that LeBron would have wanted no part of those bad boy Pistons back in the late 80s going into the early 90s. Again, we're talking about putting LeBron back in time in that situation under those football rules against that team that was loaded with tough guys. Mahorn was there, not for the whole run, but for the first of the run.
The first one.
Lambeer was just crazy tough. And James Edwards, he scared me every time he came on the floor We talked about Dennis Rodman, back-to-back Defensive Players of the Year, 90, 91.
Sally.
And then led the whole NBA in defensive win shares in 92. John Sally, who I know very well, 7 feet and nasty. And then Joe Dumars was making first-team all-defense all through that run. Isaiah would lock you up and get up under you and bulldog you. And Vinnie Johnson would come off the bench and get up in you. And that was their mentality. We're all together, all for one, one for all, and we're going to make you beat us at football rules. And as Charles said, they wanted to hurt you. I mean, literally hurt you, physically knock you out of the game, the way in the old days when you first started playing in the NFL, teams tried to knock quarterbacks out of the game. That was the Pistons'
Absolutely.
MO, and it was not pretty. Yeah, it was ugly. It was not fun to watch. I was there for all those finals. I sat right there at courtside and watched it. I could reach out and touch the ugliness of it. It was sweaty, ugly,